president and his team say nothing to see here on the latest Russia probe filings, but the facts, well, they suggest otherwise. Here to discuss, CNN national security analyst Samantha Vinograd and CNN legal analyst and former federal prosecutor Shane Wu. Welcome back to Newsroom.
Thanks.
Samantha, let me start with you, and I want to read from the Mueller memo about this Russian who contacted Michael Cohen. And it says that in or around November 2015, so very early in the campaign, Cohen received the contact information for and spoke with a Russian national who claimed to be a trusted person in the Russian Federation who could offer the campaign political synergy and synergy on a government level. I've never heard the phrase political synergy. What's that mean to you? What is it?
Well, Victor, political synergy to me seems like the polite way of saying collusion. Political synergy, if you just Google what synergy means, it's cooperation between two organizations or agents to achieve an outcome that's greater than the sum of their parts. So what we have here is potentially the special counsel indicating that the Michael Cohen, perhaps at the direction of the president, was actively working to cooperate with an operative of the Russian government or a high-placed Russian on a business deal. And while we wait for Robert Mueller to see whether there was any collusion, in fact, Victor, I just want to say this is a counterintelligence goldmine. It is a fact that the Russian government knew about lies that directly implicated the president well before our own Department of Justice did. So while we look at what happened during the campaign, I think that we also have to think about what impact this may have had on ongoing Russia policy when President Trump got to the White House, because again, he knew that Russia and Vladimir Putin was well aware of these lies, which are a leverage point and a bribery point, well before our own government did.
Shane, the president's supporters will say that, you know, this didn't go anywhere because Michael Cohen didn't follow up and there was no actual meeting with this person or with someone else about the Moscow project, building a tower there. But what the filing says is that Cohen didn't follow up on the meeting because, not because he thought it was wrong or he should call the FBI, but because he thought he already had an in somewhere else in the Russian government and he was good.
I think Sam's point is very well taken. This is a huge national security problem. It's a huge vulnerability, and the key there is exactly what did Michael Cohen convey to the president about these issues. And that's the huge vulnerability for the president. I mean, this is Michael Cohen, someone who was his confidant, his lawyer. You speak freely to the lawyers. If that information has already been turned over to Mueller or is forthcoming, that Cohen specifically talked about this quote-unquote synergy, then that is going to be one of the missing links to really the president having knowledge of trying to work with Russia. On the Moscow Tower type issues, these are even more concrete details have already emerged because that endangers President Trump because of the timing. He already gave these written answers, and most likely if he addressed business dealings with Russia, he most likely continued to deny them as he has publicly done that. So these are all very specific issues that cause a lot of problems for him, not to mention the campaign finance violations. And when we talk about the Justice Department not having accused, I think I disagree with that. The department has accused him. They're not charging him because there's the issue of whether you can charge a sitting president. But these are enormous vulnerabilities for the president as well as for his family from the Cohen issues.
Samantha, one more specific here from the Mueller memo. Let's put it up on the screen. And the government writes here, the fact that Cohen continued to work on the project, speaking of the Moscow project, that tower, and discuss it with individual one, President Trump, well into the campaign, then private citizen Trump, was material to the ongoing congressional and special counsel office investigations, particularly because it occurred at this time of sustained efforts by the Russian government to interfere with the U.S. presidential election, connecting here in this document the attempt to get a Moscow Trump Tower with the interference in the U.S. Election. Your view of the connection of those two here.
Well, Victor, there are just so many different puzzle pieces coming together, many of which the administration has said are mere coincidences up until this point. We know that President Trump, or not, then candidate Trump, was pursuing a business deal in Russia. We know that Vladimir Putin preferred Donald Trump as a candidate for reasons separate from this business deal. They thought that Donald Trump would pursue policies most helpful to the Russian Federation. And then finally, we now know that there were ongoing contacts between the administration and operatives from the Russian government. We haven't talked about Paul Manafort yet, but he was in direct contact with Konstantin Kilimnik, who is suspected of having ties to Russian military intelligence. So while all of these things are coming together, the real question is whether this political synergy that is referenced is in fact active cooperation to coordinate on politics, to coordinate on the outcome of an election and the policies that then candidate Trump said that he would pursue if elected.
Shannon, let me come to you with the final point here. Michael Isikoff with Yahoo News reported just days ago that Mueller's team was telling defense attorneys that they were just wrapping up some loose ends. With the introduction of what we've learned yesterday and several days earlier with the other Cohen documents, the Manafort documents as well, new characters, new investigations, the Flynn documents as well. Do you see this as wrapping up loose ends?
I don't really see it as wrapping up loose ends. I think we have to remember that what's new to us is obviously not new to the Mueller team. They've known about this for a while. So I'm not sure, what that phrase means, wrapping up some loose ends. I mean, they may be putting the finishing touches on these particular strands of the investigation. Does that mean they're about to issue a report? Still kind of hard to tell. I would guess that because there are new players, new charges, they're not in that position yet. They need to know how some of that's going to work out. They need to know if there's going to be further cooperation that they need to follow up on. So it doesn't quite seem to me to be, as we've been speculating for a while, that's near the end of this portion of the investigation. I would see it more as kind of middle at the moment.
All right, Shan, Samantha, thank you very much.